Welcome to the masterclass on Pinterest marketing tips to skyrocket your audience. I'm your host, Shruti Pangtey, and I will introduce myself as well so we can get to know each other a little bit better if you don't know me and understand exactly how this masterclass is going to help you grow your audience, your brand, and your business on Pinterest. So, first of all, hello there again. I'm Shruti Pangtey, and in the last 2 years, I've built a successful travel blog with over 500,000 page views and 35,000 social media and email followers. I have over 2 million visitors that I get on Pinterest from my blogs, as well as an online education business where I've taught hundreds of creators and entrepreneurs just like you how to grow their audience, income, and impact using Pinterest. You can also find me on Instagram as well as on YouTube with my full name, Shruti Pangtey. And you can find me on my websites, indiangirling.com as well as digitalempires.co. I've also been featured in places like Thrive Global, Matador Network, Her Campus, Medium, etc. Maybe you've heard of some of them. Now, in today's masterclass, we are going to be covering a lot of ground on how to actually use Pinterest and leverage that as a free organic marketing tool to grow your brand and business. So, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is why Pinterest is not a social media platform and what that means for your strategy. So, a lot of people believe that Pinterest is just a social media platform and it's not really a platform that is optimized for business, but that couldn't be further from the truth. So, we're going to be talking about how exactly to use Pinterest in the best way possible so that you can actually leverage it for the powerful organic marketing tool that it is. We are also going to be covering how to create content that brings traffic using Pinterest as a growth engine. So how can you prime your content in such a way that you get the most out of Pinterest as a traffic machine, and how to get the most amount of eyeballs on your business or on your blogs or websites. And we're also going to be talking about 7 key tips that will help you turn your website into a traffic machine with Pinterest. So, this is where we go a lot deeper, and instead of just giving you surface level information, I actually give you specific hacks to grow your audience with Pinterest. Now, this is the right place for you, and you are in the right place if you're looking to build your audience and traffic online. This is also the right place for you if you want to maybe leave your 9 to 5 job to run and scale your online business full time. So, you want to maybe you started an online business or you have a blog or a website and you want to take that to the next level and you want to grow that to grow your audience as well as your reach. You want to be in total control and you want to have freedom over your life while still being able to pay your bills as well as afford your dream lifestyle. Now, before we dive into all of the Pinterest goodies, let's talk a little bit about what it would feel like if you could actually grow your followers, your traffic, and your customers completely for free and on autopilot. And if you didn't need to pay for that in terms of advertising and you didn't need to wait for, let's say, decades for you to show up on a certain search engine. What would it feel like if you could quit your 9 to 5 job to run and scale your online business full time? So instead of just doing it as a side hustle or as a hobby, what would it feel like if you could jump into it full time and make it a profitable full time business? What would it feel like if you could live and work anywhere you want and have total freedom when it comes to your finances, to your time, as well as to your location? Now, all of that is great and we would love to have that. However, there is just a small thing that is standing between you and your dream. And this small thing is known as an audience, and which is why you're here to learn from me exactly how we can solve this problem for you and fix this issue standing between you and your dream. Now, an audience in the online world is also known as traffic, which means that in terms of, let's say, for if you had an offline business, an audience would be the number of visitors that are coming to your store or to your shop or to your restaurant. Let's say if you have a physical business. However, if you have an online business, you also have these visitors, but they're not really physically coming to you. They're coming to you in terms of page views or visitors, which is also known as traffic in the online marketing world. So in other words, your traffic is pretty much the lifeblood of your business, and it's even more important than your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat followers combined. Why? Because without having any traffic and without having any visitors to your business or to your profile online, it's going to be really hard for you to actually grow a sustainable business, which is also profitable in the long run. And this is the exact same logic that you would use if you were to have, let's say, a coffee shop. If you didn't have enough visitors that were coming in or walking into the store every day, it would be really hard for you to sell more coffee, which means that it would be really hard for you to break a profit. The exact same thing is true of running an online business as well, or running any kind of online presence for that fact. So, my goal for you in this class is to fix that. And my goal for you is to feel inspired to grow your audience and your traffic without having to rely on punishing algorithms or throwing money on ads, so that you can make a full-time living doing what you love and live an impact-driven life. So I hope that with this class, in the next couple of minutes, in the next half an hour, 45 minutes, you are going to walk away from a lot of information that will help you grow your audience authentically and grow your brand in a way that feels right to you and is aligned to who you are and where you want to be in your business. But before we dive in, let's review a few fun facts about Pinterest. Now, did you know that in general, less than 7% of your followers are seeing your content online that you spend so much time creating and posting? So think about the number of times that you've thought about, who's even looking at your content. Actually, only less than 7% of your followers are looking at your content, which means that even though you might have a lot of content out there, you're not necessarily reaching all of those people, and not all of those people are converting into visitors or buyers for your business. Did you know that Pinterest is 4 times more effective at generating sales than other social media platforms, with 47% of people logging in specifically to shop? Now, not only is Pinterest way more effective than, let's say, Facebook or Instagram for driving traffic to your website or to your business, but it also has an audience which is primed to shop. So the people on Pinterest are actually looking specifically for products and services, and they want to have the ability to be able to buy stuff on Pinterest directly or quickly to find and search for products and services, which means that you have a large amount of audience which has a high propensity to buy and are primed for your product or service, which makes it, again, a really great platform to get discovered on and to have your organic reach on. Now, you're probably wondering, that's great, Shruti, but what does this all mean for me? Like, where does this fit in your business, right? How does this fit in your strategy when it comes to marketing your presence or marketing your brand? Now, this simply means that if you're not building your business on the fastest growing social media platform that still has organic reach, you're missing out. The focus word here is it still has organic reach. So whereas on Facebook and on Instagram, now you have to pay to play, which means you have to pay for advertising to actually get your content seen by new people, you don't have to do that with Pinterest. It is designed in a way that is really friendly for content creators as well as online store owners or e-commerce owners to actually put their content as well as put their products and services in front of an audience that is ready to consume that information as well as convert into potential customers and buyers. Now, before we talk about the tips and tactics, let me show you a little bit of sneak peek of how Pinterest has really changed my life and business and how that has really made a big impact in the way that I have taken my business full time. So before I was using Pinterest, I had a blog. And about 2 years ago when I started, I had basically 0 people reading my blog. I had a little bit of traffic here and there from my friends and family, but it was nothing to be really proud of or nothing that I could really boast about. However, after I discovered Pinterest and I started to use it in a strategic manner to actually grow my traffic and my audience, I was able to grow my blog to over 70,000 monthly readers and over 35,000 social media and email followers. Not only this, my monthly impressions went all the way up to about 2 million per month on Pinterest, which means that now where my content was actually reaching about 2 million impressions every month, whereas when I was not using Pinterest, I was barely even crossing 1,000 impressions a month. So from 1,000 to 2 million is a really, really big, leap. And I think it is possible for anyone who decides to leverage Pinterest in the smart, organic way that it presents itself as. All right. So not only was my traffic growing, but something really interesting started to happen as well, side by side. So my traffic was growing, yes, but what was also happening when my traffic was growing, that my income started to grow as well. And I think most business owners or most businesses, whether online or offline, will tell you the same thing. Of course, the more people that walk in through the door, the more your chances of having sales and the more your chances of making more money. It is the exact same thing for an online business as well. The more traffic I was having, the more I was able to monetize it with various methods and the more money I started to make. So at 10,000 page views, I was maybe making between $500 to $1,000. At 50,000 page views, I was averaging about $2,000, and then it constantly kept increasing. When I reached a point which was around $3,000 to $4,000, I decided to actually quit my idea of being a full-time 9-to-5 person and actually just jump into my side hustle full time. And had I not discovered Pinterest and had I not really known how Pinterest could actually grow my organic reach, I would have never really been able to do this full time and live a life now which is full of financial freedom as well as time freedom, where I get to be my own boss. I get to run the show, and I get to decide where and when and if I invest my energy into things, and that to me is more fulfilling than any 9-to-5 job ever would be. Now, so you're probably wondering, So, what is it that you don't know already, and what is it that you have been doing, or what is it that you could do differently to actually leverage Pinterest? So, here's what I want to talk to you about: the three big secrets that you need to know about Pinterest. But first, I want to walk you through the lies that you have been led to believe about Pinterest and in general about growing your traffic as well as your reach. Now, the lie is that you've probably heard of, or you've maybe even come across, is that Google is the most important place where I can grow my audience and traffic. Whereas the truth is that Google is only one way to grow your audience, which can take over 1 year to even show your content. In my experience, Google takes anywhere between 1 to 3 years to show any new websites or any new businesses online, which means that relying on Google is basically a formula for frustration, especially if you want short-term success and if you want to grow your traffic pretty fast and you don't want to wait around forever for Google to maybe decide to show you. The next lie that you've probably heard of, and you probably even came into this class thinking, is that how can Pinterest really help me grow my audience? Pinterest is just a social media platform to save recipes and cute stuff. Now, the reality is that Pinterest is a powerful search engine with access to over 335 million monthly viewers. And these viewers are spread all across the globe, which means you have access to a large number of people who are actively looking for the information that you have to provide or the products and services that you want to sell, and they're spread all across the world and are ready to buy from you. Next up, you've probably also thought this to yourself. I made the same mistake as well, where I thought, wow, Facebook and Instagram followers, will totally bring me traffic. They will totally bring me sales. The more number of followers I have, the higher the more my business would grow. And the truth is that Facebook and Instagram are pay to play platforms with no intent to convert as a reader or a customer. Now, this means that even though they are great platforms for building a community, and I'm by no means saying that you shouldn't be on Facebook and Instagram, because you definitely should be, since they are so vital in growing a community and getting your brand out there. However, they are not the best platforms to grow organically, especially right now when organic reach doesn't really exist anymore, because they've made it clear that unless you pay for ads and you sponsor posts, it's going to be hard for you to get a vast majority of people really in your circle or in your marketing funnel. So now that we know the lies that we've been told and we know what the reality looks like or what the truth really is, let's talk about what these three big secrets are that can really change the way that you look at Pinterest as a tool. Secret number one is that Pinterest is a search engine. So we've been leading up to it. So the lie that you probably thought was that Pinterest is just a social media platform. And while that is not false, it is still a social media platform. But the more important thing for you to know as a business owner or as a potential creative content creator who wants to market their content or their information on Pinterest is that it is also a search engine. Just like Google is a search engine, just like YouTube is a search engine. Now, just to make this clear, let's talk a little bit about what exactly goes on behind the scenes in Pinterest. So Pinterest actually has 2 billion monthly searches every single month. 2 billion searches. That is a lot of people searching for stuff on Pinterest. Interestingly enough, Pinterest also drives more traffic to websites than Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter combined. This means that if today you started to work on Pinterest and you stop working on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all three of those aspects, you would still probably have better results when it comes to driving your traffic and growing your reach from Pinterest than you have by spending your time on the other social media platforms. So it's actually more effective when it comes to audience building and growing your reach as well as your conversions compared to, let's say, Facebook or Instagram. What's also really interesting is that 83% of pinners have made a purchase from a pin they saw on Pinterest. This means that people who are on Pinterest are very likely and, like I said, very primed to buy products and services from you, which means that even if you don't sell something right now, and let's say you decide in the future to actually sell a product or a service, it would really be beneficial for you to actually be on Pinterest, because a large majority of Pinterest users, also known as pinners, are actively searching for products and they are looking to buy things from this platform as well. And lastly, another very interesting fact, but really, really key here, is that 97% of searches on Pinterest show up as unbranded pins. Now, unbranded pins means that pins that are not necessarily from large accounts or large organizations or from large brands. This means that even if you are a teeny tiny brand, and even if you're just starting your business, and even if you're just starting your presence online, you can really blow up on Pinterest much faster than you would be able to for, let's say, if you were starting on Instagram or on Facebook. So your chances to show up on searches is not, reduced by the fact that you are not a big brand. Whereas when it comes to search engines like Google or YouTube, it's really hard to outrank people who have a large presence or a large number of following already already. So for example, on Google, it's going to be hard for you to outrank the biggest company or the biggest, sort of competition, especially when it comes to being on page 1 or 2 of Google. Whereas on Pinterest, you don't really need to worry about that. If your content is optimized for Pinterest, and if you're doing a good job with, being discoverable on Pinterest, as well as promoting your content the right way, then it is 100% possible for you to show up on search results and even show up on page number 1, the first thing that you see when someone searches for a particular query or a particular product. Now, what does this mean for you? So how can you implement this in your business and to grow your audience as well? So this means for you that instead of waiting for Google, which is the most common search engine that most of us think that we should be on, to pick up your website, you can actually start using Pinterest to attract and build your own tribe for free. So instead of waiting for Google to start showing you some love and to start showing you and sending some people across your way, you can actually go out there right now and start building your tribe on Pinterest completely for free. You don't need to pay a penny to promote your content on Pinterest. Not only this, you can also use the traffic you get to convert them into more subscribers, customers, and income. So not only do you get the fact that you have access to more viewers as well as more traffic, but you also can, if you're strategic about the way that you set up your website as well as your online business, you can actually convert this traffic into more subscribers, into more customers, and into more income. And how amazing is that? Because all of this traffic is free and organic. And not only this, not only can you grow your tribe, not only can you make more money, but you can also build your authority online without having to wait a decade or spend money on ads. And I think it's really important here to understand that when you're using Pinterest, you're not going to have overnight results, much like any other social media platform or search engine. However, your results are likely to show much faster than they would, for example, if you were to optimize for Google or if you were to optimize for YouTube. So when it comes to really picking you up and showing you as an authority, you can build that authority much faster on Pinterest than you would be able to on any other social media platform or search engine. Now, how does this translate into your Pinterest strategy, right? Maybe you are familiar with Pinterest. Maybe you tried growing your business. Maybe you had an account, but you haven't really seen how that can do anything for your business. Now, here's what you need to do to actually use this information to grow your business, which means that now that you know that Pinterest is a search engine, you can start applying this information to actually use Pinterest as a search engine instead of just using it as a fun social media platform to curate stuff. So first off, you can create pins that are high quality, that are search optimized, and they can easily be discovered. So I'm going to share all of these in more details throughout the class so you can understand exactly what I mean by these words. But here is just a summary of the things that you can do. So first off, you can create pins that are optimized and high quality and are discoverable. So obviously, if no one can find your pin, which is an image that you save on Pinterest, linked to a particular URL on your website, nobody will even find you if no one can discover that particular pin. Next up, you can use keywords and hashtags to help your content rank faster. Now, instead of just uploading a pretty image, you can actually use keywords and hashtags to help your pins rank faster in search and get in front of the right audience, which will then further enable your traffic as well as your conversions. And lastly, you can also curate a profile that reflects your brand and your website. So instead of just having 5 random pins from your childhood days when you were creating a scrapbook, maybe it's time for you to take a look and actually spruce up that profile and convert it into a branded profile, which suits your brand, which suits your colors and everything that you represent with your brand or your business, and reflect that with your Pinterest account as well. Now, how can you actually optimize Pinterest for search, right? So how do you actually use Pinterest as a search engine? So there's this thing called keywords. Maybe it's not the first time that you're hearing it, but keywords are basically specific words that people are looking for when it comes to searching on Pinterest. This means that when you go to the search bar and actually look for something and type in, that is a keyword, right? And there are 2 types of keywords. They can be primary keywords or they can be long tail keywords. So primary keywords are usually keywords which are 1 or 2 words long. So let's say you're looking for home decor. That is a primary main keyword. However, you also have long tail keywords. So if you're looking for home decor ideas for living room, then that would be a long tail keyword. And it is pretty much the same lingo for Google as well. However, for Pinterest, keywords can mean a couple of different things when it comes to optimization. So whereas in Google, you would optimize your meta description and you would optimize your blog post and all of that, you actually in Pinterest have to do it a little bit differently. So here are 3 places that you can start with optimizing for keywords so that your pins can be found and discovered in search, and so that more and more people can check you out and find out your profile as well as your business. So the first and simplest way for you to optimize for keywords is to just simply head into your Pinterest profile, head into the settings, edit those settings, and then add the right keywords related to your brand, blog, or business. Now you will see here in one of my websites, I have Indian Girling, which is, let's say, the name of the brand or the website. And then I have added Europe travel blog as well as personal development, because every time someone searches Europe travel blog or searches personal development, they then get led to my profile, and then they can find more information related to these topics on my profile, which serves my purpose, because I want everyone who's looking for information on, let's say, Europe travel or on personal development to easily find me on Pinterest. And the smartest and easiest way for you to do that is to make sure that your Pinterest profile is actually optimized and that you've added the keywords related to your brand, blog, or business right there. The next place to optimize for keywords, also to help you see and use Pinterest as a search engine, is when you upload your pin. Now, when you upload your pin, you're going to get a prompt to actually add a description. Now, this description is anywhere between 100 to 200 characters, and you can basically add different sets of keywords as well as hashtags to your pin description. Now, as you can see in this post is about 11 habits of women who always have money. And as you can see, the title is a bit longer and it says, do you want to know what are the top habits of rich women? From saving more money to having a different money mindset, these 11 habits are what set rich people apart. Now, if you see carefully, there are a lot of keywords that are already involved in this description. Now, the description is pretty natural. I haven't just copy pasted keywords because that is keyword stuffing and you don't want to do that. However, I've made sure that every related keyword that someone might be searching for when they're searching for similar content shows up on my pin. So as you can see, there are habits of rich women, more money, different money mindset, rich people, rich women habits, etc. So 4 to 5 keywords is already a great start. You can start with 2 to 3 keywords minimum, and of course work your way up as you get more comfortable adding keywords to your pin descriptions. You'll see that I also have hashtags here, which are also similar to keywords. However, they're more broad in the sense that they're not necessarily just describing this content, but they're also describing the type of person who might be reading this content. So for example, I have hashtag personal development, hashtag truths, hashtag quotes, hashtag success. Now, the reason why I have added those hashtags is because those are broader keyword ideas or topics or themes that this audience might be interested in. So even though my pin description is really about the exact keywords that would help them find this particular topic or help them like this topic, my hashtags are sort of broader, where I actually tell them what are the various ways in which, or various categories in which Pinterest can place this content to actually show it on search and to actually make it visible on the Pinterest feed. And the third part where you need to be optimizing for your keywords is your board description. Now, of course, once you've optimized your profile, then you optimize the pins that you're uploading. Then comes the part of board description. Now, boards are essentially just categories that you have in a particular topic, right? So let's say you are a business which is in home decor. You probably have various types of home decor items. You have accessories, you have lamps, you have maybe living room stuff, you have bathroom stuff, different things. So you can create a board for each of these subcategories or subtopics so that anyone who's interested in that subtopic can find you through that board, right? Now, as you can see, the board here is called Pinterest Marketing, and I have actually taken out the time to add a description which is also keyword rich. So I've added how to increase your blog presence, blog traffic using Pinterest Marketing, Pinterest strategies, Pinterest ideas, and how to use Pinterest for making money on your blog. Now, these are all the topics or keywords that people are searching for when they're searching for a board related to Pinterest marketing. And what I have done here is that when I add the keywords which people are looking for when it comes to this topic, I give my board a better chance to be found on search. I give the pins that are on this board a better chance to be found on search, so that not only does Pinterest know exactly what my profile is about and what I talk about and exactly what keywords to attach to my profile, but I'm also being pushed out to the right people and my content is being shown to the right people on Pinterest as well. So now that we know exactly what it takes to make your Pinterest account a search engine and to really optimize it for the right keywords, let's move on to secret number 2. So secret number 2 is that you don't need more content, you only need the right content. Now, again, this is somewhat not that easy to understand, so let me help you understand the perspective of this secret. Now, have you ever felt like you can't really keep up with all of the content creation journey? Have you ever felt like, oh my God, there is so much content to create. I'm always creating more and more, and it's just not enough because nobody is seeing my content. And I feel like I'm just creating this stuff, but I'm not really getting the traffic or the visibility that I deserve. I got you. When I got serious about using Pinterest, I realized that I could actually create less content and still get more traffic. And that just blew my mind because for the longest time, people had been telling me you need to create more, 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 and that's how you grow your audience. And while I agree that it is important to be consistent in your content creation, and it is important to actually have a consistent content strategy when it comes to any social media platform or growing your business for that fact. However, when it comes to Pinterest, sometimes less can be more if you know how to play the game. Now, in order to show you this in a little bit more of a statistical way, so for those of you who like numbers like me, maybe you can understand this better when you see this example. So as you can see in this post, only 5 blog posts of mine drive over 58% of my site's traffic. Only 5 blog posts drive 58% of my traffic. And when I narrow that down to the first 3 blog posts, the first 3 blog posts actually drove close to 50% of my blog's traffic. And just for knowledge sake, just for context, I have over 125 blog posts, I believe, or maybe 130 blog posts on this particular website. So out of those 130 blog posts that I created in the lifetime and the history of this blog, I actually only need 3 of them to drive me 50% of my traffic. So if you are looking to drive, let's say 50,000 page views a month, you can actually just optimize your blog for those 3 particular blog posts or 5 blog posts, which will bring you the majority of your traffic. And as you grow as a content creator and as you grow your website, you will realize that this is more and more true. If people really like something, they will come back to check it out over and over again, not only in Google search, but also on Pinterest search. And this is why it is so important for you to be creating the right type of content to drive traffic, because that forms really the basis of your journey on any platform. So think about it this way: you could optimize your pin and you can make it the most amazingly discoverable pin. However, if the content at the bottom of this pin really sucks and nobody really wants to watch it, or nobody really wants to click through to that content and find more information about it, then it wouldn't matter how you package and promote that pin, you will still not get a lot of traffic from Pinterest. So content really is key here, and the key here really is quality, not necessarily quantity. So when you start optimizing your website for Pinterest and you start growing your traffic using Pinterest, you can actually use the same content over and over again, and you can use smart automation tools such as Tailwind to actually work for your evergreen content around the clock, even when you're not working on it. Pinterest doesn't penalize you for saving similar repins over and over again, so long as they are different images. And that means you don't have to keep creating one new blog post every 2 days in order to be, popular on Pinterest. And there are also more reasons why less is more. So the first reason why less is more is because when you create purposefully and you really know what is the strategy behind what you're creating, then you can choose to create less content, you can choose to spend less time, and while you can still continue to get more eyeballs to your content, you can still continue to get more traffic, more sales, more conversions. And honestly, if you feel like you're drowning in content creation and if you feel like there's never enough, it's probably time for you to take a deeper look at where is it that you're focusing your energy, on which platform are you hoping to to grow on. And maybe it's time for you to actually start focusing on Pinterest, which is a platform where your content can last much longer. So whereas on Twitter your tweet dies out in 10 minutes, whereas on Facebook your post is probably old in 4 hours, and on Instagram you become invisible after 24 hours, on Pinterest your pin can last anywhere between 3 to 9 months, which is a very, very long time for a piece of content to be around, especially in today's day and age where we have billions of things being uploaded and released into the internet every single minute of every single day. This means that if you are smart about your content creation and if you create the right kind of content for Pinterest, you can actually make your evergreen traffic come back over and over again using Pinterest, as well as make your content last longer than it would if you were to rely just on Google. And not only this, automation is also a tool that you can use once you're ready to go beyond just, being manually on a platform and you want to make sure that your content is working for you around the clock. Then you can use smart tools which help you with automation, and you can schedule out your pins, and that will make sure that you can just set it and forget it. So you don't have to log into Pinterest every day and, save content every single day. You can choose to do that once every few days, maybe once a week, if you have a smart system that is running behind it as well. So here's the good news. You can create content once and you can continue to generate traffic for weeks, months, and years to come on autopilot. Now, this is something that, again, is very, very unique and special to Pinterest and something you wouldn't easily find on any other platform, especially not on Google or on YouTube. So here's where you can actually look at creating content a little bit differently and see how you can use that for your business. So if you're a content creator, you can share old and new blog posts or maybe even posts that you have on other platforms in the form of pins on Pinterest to generate more traffic and income. If you sell products or services, and let's say you are an e-commerce owner or you are a service-based entrepreneur, then you can share your offers, you can share your opt-ins, your freebies, maybe your free discovery calls, etc., to actually get people to your platform, to your website, to actually book with you or to even buy your products and services. You can even leverage Pinterest to promote campaigns. You can leverage Pinterest to make more sales. You can leverage it to encourage signups. The sky is the limit once you start knowing how to use this as an organic marketing tool. Wow. So we've covered a lot of ground in this class. We have spoken about what it means for Pinterest to be a search engine. How can you optimize your content for Pinterest to be a search engine? We have also spoken about what kind of content you should be creating and what is this overarching strategy that you should have when it comes to creating content on Pinterest so that you are not only discovered, but your content is also actually, working for you even when you're not working as well, because that's the dream, right? We don't want to be constantly on the content hamster wheel, creating more and more and more and getting less and less and diminishing marginal returns, right? So that's where that's what brings me now to secret number 3, which is also a very, very critical secret and one that people often underestimate, and that is that your design decides the click. Your design on Pinterest decides the click. So whether or not people choose to click on your pin or whether or not people choose to come over to your platform from Pinterest really depends on the way that you lure them in, and it really depends on your design. So here's why you need to care about visuals. So first off, Pinterest is a visual search engine. So Pinterest is not like Google where it is just text driven. It is actually very image heavy and very image focused, which means that it is a visual discovery platform, which means that if your visuals are really crappy, you're probably not going to get a lot of, traction on that platform. Same goes for a lot of different platforms as well. It's pretty similar on Instagram as well. If you're a really bad photographer, you're likely going to have a harder time, growing your account. Whereas if you have good photos and good optics and good visuals. And not to mention, pins are what drive your clicks, traffic, and conversion. So it is not just the SEO, it is not just the content, it is also the format and the packaging of the pin that really drives the clicks, the traffic, and the conversions. And that's what you need to keep in mind when it comes to this tip, because visuals are not just helping you increase your reach on Pinterest, but they're also really what is an extension of your brand outside of your website or outside of your store. So you want to make sure that your representation on Pinterest is accurately reflecting who you are and really helping you grow beyond just a basic brand vibe. So you want to make sure that your colors, your boards, etc., are really aligned to the brand that you are and that you want to be on Pinterest as well. So now this brings us to what really decides the click, right? So we know that the design is important, but how does anyone click on a pin, and why would anyone click on a pin in the first place, right? So think about it, go back and think about the times that you have clicked on something on Pinterest. Maybe you've never tried out that platform, that's fine. But if you have, you can probably relate to this slide here. So the first way or the first reason why anyone would click on a pin is if the pin gives some kind of information. So if the pin is giving you information on tutorials, on hacks, on tips, on videos, on blog posts, podcasts, etc., that means that there is something that you can inherently learn from that pin, and that means there's a reason for you to actually click through to that pin, right? The next reason why you might click on a pin is if it provides some kind of inspiration. So let's say you're planning your dream swimming pool or your dream beach house, and you just want to have a board or a set of pins which basically help you understand what that dream or that vision would look like. That's also when you would go on Pinterest and you would click on similar pins which are aligned to that vision, irrespective of whether it is a professional vision or a personal vision, right? You would also be clicking on a pin if it serves a need. So if your pin is actually serving a need, so let's say I'm looking for a beauty cream which I can use at night to puff up my skin or something, or like close my pores, then I might be on Pinterest searching for articles related to this beauty pin, or maybe even product ideas, and that's when I would come across your product or service and I would click through and find out more about it, and maybe I would come back and buy it, or maybe even if I'm impulsive, I could actually just buy it there and then itself. Or you could be out there to satisfy some kind of distant desire. So let's say that I want to have a luxury, villa to myself, and I know that maybe it's not going to happen anytime soon, but I know that this is something that I want later down the line in my life. So I'm just out there, just sort of indulging myself in this desire and really just indulging myself in this particular pin. So, after studying thousands and thousands of pins with the hundreds of students that I've taught, we've actually identified that there are three key main focus areas when it comes to actually having a click-worthy pin. So, the number one thing that every click-worthy pin has in common is that it is attractive. So, it is not an image which is dull or, maybe black and white. It's something that is visually appealing, it is colorful, it is something that is appealing to the person who wants to click through to the pin. Second, we also want to make sure that a click-worthy pin is search optimized. This means that it is actually discoverable in search, so it is tagged with the right pin description as well as with the right set of hashtags in the right place and in the right profile so that people who are interested in looking for that pin can actually find it. And lastly, a really, really important element of having a click-worthy pin is to have a killer headline. Now, a headline is basically the main title of the pin. Now, you can have more than one title and you can probably have a lot of text on a pin. However, there's going to be one main text, which is, let's say, the title of the pin. And that is what is really important to nail down and make sure that it is really something that stands out that people actually want to click through. So a good example of such a pin would be this pin, which says 11 habits of women who are never broke. As you can see, the statistics for this pin are really good, and just a couple of days after it was posted, it had almost 152,000 impressions. It had 413 saves, which means people saved it to their boards or to their profiles, and it had 4,900 clicks, which means 4,900 people on Pinterest actually chose to click out on that pin, which means it is obviously a click-worthy pin. Now, as you can see, the pin also has an attractive image. So the image is something which is visually appealing. It talks about, it is very uplifting and basically something that doesn't make you feel sad or depressed and something that actually excites you and that makes you want to click through and see what this pin is all about. Next, we also made sure that it was search optimized. So it was searchable in the pin description as well as in the hashtags that we added to the pin. And lastly, we topped it off with a killer headline. So that's a typo there. It means a killer headline, which means that instead of just saying 11 habits of women who are, who are, let's say, who have money, we actually said 11 habits of women who are never broke, because habits of women who have money is a little bit different than habits of women who are never broke, and never broke is just a more interesting appeal when it comes to actually having a title. So when you're deciding on the title of your pin, it doesn't always have to be the title of your blog post or your landing page or your product. However, it has to clearly showcase a benefit or maybe even a desire that actually is something that your ideal audience or customer is looking for. So how do you actually build a machine on Pinterest, right? So how does this all relate? So there are three aspects to building a profitable Pinterest machine. Now, the first aspect, which we discussed a lot about, is actually your core content. So without content, it's really hard to really generate anything online, especially if you want to generate money. So content could be blog posts, it could be landing pages, it could be podcasts, it could be videos, it could be any kind of format that you have in which you share your content expertise, right? And that is basically what forms the hook of your business. So it forms the hook of your personal brand or maybe even your business. The next step that you have once you have content is that you actually use Pinterest as a search engine. So instead of just relying on Google for your search results and for your traffic, you actually start to use Pinterest as a search engine to drive traffic to your website using pins that link to your content. So you will start using pins that actually link to the content that you have created as a hook, right? Which is basically the content that showcases you as an authority or as a leader in that space. And last step on this machine, once you have the right content and once you have the right amount of traffic, which is basically more than, let's say, zero, you start to actually put in monetization aspects. And of course, you can have various monetization methods. You can be monetizing with ads, you can be monetizing with affiliate marketing products, you can be monetizing with services. The sky is the limit when it comes to making money online. However, in order for you to actually to reach the stage where your machine is, let's say, generating income, you need to feed it with the right content and to make sure that you're attracting the right people to your website and to your business as well, so that those people are not only just your website visitors, but they also turn into subscribers, clients, and customers. So this brings us to now, what do you actually need to do in terms of step-by-step hacks to make sure that you have killer traffic? So I won't just leave you with the macro level view. I actually want to go deep down and share with you 6 epic pro tips that you could utilize to actually start growing your traffic right away. So tip number 1 is to plan and create viral content. Now, viral content is basically content which gets, let's say, a bigger traction than a normal piece of content. So if a normal piece of content gets 1 page view, then a viral piece of content would get 100 times that. So it would get 100 page views. If a normal piece of content would get 100 page views, this content would get 10,000 page views, and so on and so forth. So based on the type of content that you create, you can really see the direction of the traffic that you will have. And the idea should always be to create not just viral content, but content that is highly in demand and that people actually really want to read, and not just content that you think is right or that you feel like creating that day. So the step number one here is to actually research, first of all, what is trending or what already has demand using Google Trends or BuzzSumo. So you can use two of these free tools, Google Trends as well as BuzzSumo, to see what kind of content is trending in your space, right? What is the kind of keywords that people are looking for when it comes to specific things in your particular niche. The next step would be to make a list of all of these keywords and actually go to a keyword research tool like, let's say, Key Search, which is a free tool, and check out what is your potential ranking capability in these keywords. And once you see how likely it is for you to actually rank on those keywords, then you can take step number 3, which is to actually create the content that is A, trending, and B, you're most likely to rank for. This process ensures that you actually create content which, one, has a demand and two, has a potential to go viral, bringing you tons of traffic instead of just creating posts that nobody wants to read and nobody really likes, nobody is really interested in. Which brings us to the next tip, which is closely related to the tip where we spoke about your design decides the click. So as you know, click-worthy graphics are very, very important, but how does that translate to specific features on Pinterest? Now, as you can see, the pin on the right side is basically leading to the same blog post. So on the left, we have blogging starter guide and toolkit, and on the right, we have how to start a blog that makes $3,000 a month. Now, obviously, both these pins are leading to the same post. However, the difference between these pins in terms of visuals as well as clickability is day and night, right? So first off, the really important thing to remember here is that Pinterest always promotes pins which are vertical. So you want to make sure that all the pins that you're creating are not horizontal images and they're vertical images with a 2:3 aspect ratio. 2:3 simply means that the width of the pin is going to be 2/3 the height of the pin, right? So it's just another way of saying how long and wide the pin should be. Now, the recommended size here is 1000 by 1500 px, but of course you can change that into 1200 by 1750, or you can really experiment with different methods, but you can start with 1000 by 1500. That's always a safe place to start, and then move that ratio up if or down, maybe depending on what kind of niche you have and what kind of experiments you're running on Pinterest. Next up, you will also see that the right pin has a brighter image on the back and isn't really dark or dull, and the left one is kind of dark and dull, and you can't really see the background image, which makes it not that appealing to click on. So it's important to use high quality stock images or maybe even your own images, and you can use sites like Unsplash or Canva to find these images completely for free as well. Next up, you will see that the headlines are also very different. So for me, when I see something like blogging starter guide and toolkit, I don't have the urgency or the need or the desire to click on it right now. I think I can always come back and click on it later, right? But that's what you don't want, because each time that you have a pin on Pinterest, it's a hit or a miss, right? People either click or they don't click. There's no third option to it. So you want to make sure that your pin has a headline which makes people want to click, right? And that's where you see I have a benefit driven headline which says how to start a blog that makes $3,000 a month. So now if I'm someone who is inspired by, let's say, the idea of making money on blogging, then I would find that design very appealing and I would click through to it, right? And essentially what it does is that it builds curiosity to click. So on the left side, I'm stating a fact that it is the blogging guide, whereas on the right side, I'm saying, hey, these are the steps or these are the tips that you need to know to make $3,000 a month. And that makes me curious because obviously I'm the right ideal audience for it. An excellent tool for you to check out your headlines and see how well you score on the headline, headline factor is to actually click on the tool AMI Headline Analyzer. It's also free. And usually it will give you a score telling you how amazing your headline is or how emotional your score is, etc. So the higher you score, the better your title is, and the lower your score, it means that you need to probably work on your title a little bit more. The next tip is to leverage personal boards. So obviously we want it to be discovered on Pinterest because it is a search engine. But one of the ways that you can get discovered is through creating personal boards. Now, personal boards are essentially subcategories of, let's say, the brand or the business that you represent. So let's say if you are IKEA or if you're a home decor brand, then you would have subcategories, which could be, let's say, living room, bedroom, bathroom, cheap furniture hacks, etc. And these are basically keyword titles or keyword topic ideas which you leverage and utilize as personal boards. So step number 1 would be to start searching for keyword ideas, right? So that's when you would look for all the keyword ideas that come up in your particular niche. Step 2 would be to click through and see which related keywords show up. So when you're searching on Pinterest, you will see a top tile show up with lots of related keywords. So let's say if you put in living room decor ideas, you probably will come up with bathroom, and you probably will come up with modern, rustic, or Scandinavian. And you will see that these are all keywords related related to the main topic that you search, right? So these are secondary keywords. Step number 3 in this case would be to actually go to your profile and create a new board with one of these keyword titles and descriptions. So obviously you don't need to create a board for every keyword out there. You have to select the keywords that are most relevant for your brand and where you would be able to save your own content as well as other people's content, right? Because you want to drive your ideal audience or your ideal customer to that particular profile. Here is when you will put in the keyword title as well as the description of the board, and then you're going to have the step where you actually go and save pins. So much like a website or a shop is really boring if it only has one blog post or let's say one product, that you probably don't want to have an e-commerce store with only one product, because unless it's a marketplace, of course, because then it just doesn't really give the appeal that it is something which is super professional. So when it comes to Pinterest, it's really helpful to actually save at least 50 to 60 high quality pins to begin with, which are directly related to that particular keyword idea, so that people who come to your profile actually see you as an authority in that space and want to follow you and click through your pins and come to your website and buy your products and services. The next tip, which is similar to the to personal boards, is group boards. Now, group boards are like basically the more accountable version of personal boards. So personal boards, on the one hand, are only limited to you and how much you can save when it comes to content. However, group boards usually have multiple contributors. This means that you're not the only one saving content to that board, and you're not the only one who can share and save content. In a group board, you also have other contributors who can save and share your content. They can save and share other people's content, and together you amplify your reach, right? The keyword here being amplify your reach. So there are two ways to go about looking for keywords for group boards. The step number 1 that you can follow here is either by checking out PinGroupie, which is an external tool which will basically show you niche relevant boards, and it will show you how many contributors it has, how many followers it has, etc. And then you can go one by one and select which boards you're interested in. Or you can simply go to Pinterest native search, put in the filter boards, and then start looking for boards which have a title image like a thumbnail with more than one person. So when the thumbnail has more than one person, it means that it is a group board, right? Because it has more contributors. So then you would click through one by one and actually make a list of the boards that are open for new contributors. So once you see if there are certain boards which are, let's say, there will usually be a description which says whether or not they're keen to have new contributors. If it is a closed group board, then you can bid it goodbye. However, if it is open, you can maybe check out what are the process for joining the board. Maybe you can have a request to join feature, because that's a new feature. Not everybody has it activated. So you can see if people are allowing you to join directly with that button, or you can see if you can send a DM to the owner or anyone out there who or maybe the manager of the board, and then let them know that this is so and so is your Pinterest profile, you are in this niche, and this is why you think you would be a good fit for the group board, and then wait for them to select you, right? There might be other rules that the board owner wants you to follow. So maybe they want you to follow their profile, maybe they want you to follow them on Instagram, XYZ. However, all you need to do is to just see exactly what those rules are, follow those rules step by step, and then just wait and watch. It's not going to happen quickly, because most group owners can take a while to respond, and probably you won't hear from all of them. However, it is better to have at least some group board requests constantly, not constantly, but consistently being sent out, so that every month you have access to new group boards, especially that are relevant to your niche. All right, so now that you have done a lot of work when it comes to creating content, boards, etc., the next step is to actually spend time pinning, right? So much like any other platform, Pinterest also loves when you're active on the platform and are actually contributing to creating content as well as saving content, right? So there are multiple ways in which you can be doing manually pinning. So you can basically, first step, like the most obvious thing that you can do is to save your own pins to your relevant personal as well as group boards. The next thing that you can do is to save others' pins to relevant personal or group boards, to your relevant personal boards. Now, of course, this means that, let's say you made keyword topic boards, not always will you have pins that are your own in those particular areas. So that's when you would look for content in other people's profiles and see how does it match the boards that you have, and that's where you would go and save it, right? So the ratio here of your pins to others' pins can be 50-50 in the beginning, but of course it can increase in the favor of your pins once you start to have more content and once you start to become more active on Pinterest. Next up, if you're too tired, or let's say you don't have the time to actually be manually pinning every day, I would recommend starting with 10 or 15 minutes a day. But if that's too much, you can also schedule pins using Tailwind, which is an automatic Tailwind scheduler, and it is also an official Pinterest partner, which means that you won't be kicked out of Pinterest for using Tailwind if that's a worry that you have. And it's also an excellent way to, let's say, schedule pins if you're going on holiday, or if you just don't want to work for a few weeks. That's a great way for you to just have a backup, manual pinning activity, but it's actually automated. And a pro tip I have here for you is to actually pin when your audience is active for maximum exposure. This means that instead of just pinning throughout the day and just pinning at random times, check out where your audience is from. Let's say your audience is based in the US or in the Canada or in Canada. You can actually check this out with Pinterest Insights. And once you know where your audience is from, that's when you would actually pin in their time zone. So for me, for example, I live in Europe, but my audience is majorly in the North America. So what I do is that I actually pin, my content really late at night, because that is morning or afternoon for my American and Canadian audience, which means that more people will see my content when I'm pinning for that. So it's kind of the same about other platforms as well. So on YouTube, you tend to post a video when most of your subscribers are active. On Instagram, you tend to post when most of your followers are active. It's exactly the same logic on Pinterest as well. And last step here to really master the art of driving traffic from Pinterest is to measure, track, and repeat. Now, obviously, you can use all the strategies in the world, but if you don't know how those strategies are performing and how those tips are performing, then those strategies are useless. So, in my opinion, it is really, really critical that after you spend maybe, let's say, a month or two, implementing these Pinterest tips and everything you learned in this class, to actually go deep down and see what are the results that you have from these strategies. How are you changing, let's say, your link clicks, your impressions, etc. The great thing for you is that if you have a Pinterest business account, you will have access to a deep number of insights within the Pinterest platform itself. So you can just head to the analytics tab, as you can see on the image on the right, and that will lead you to different options. So you can see the impressions of your pins, you can see what audience size you have, you can see the engagements, engaged audience, etc. You can also use this particular tab to actually identify what are your top performing pins and what is the kind of content that is coming from. Of course, once you know what are your top performing pins, you can actually create more new pins to promote that content over and over again. You can create fresh pins based on new blog posts or new products that you actually created based on that content. And of course, you can also track your progress. So you can see whether or not you're actually growing or you're stagnating. And it's really important, of course, to see how the platform is working for you, because obviously once you see how it is working for you and what type of content is really resonating with your audience, or what type of products and services are really resonating with your audience, then you can double down on it and do more of that instead of just wasting your time on trying to do everything. So that pretty much sums up this masterclass, where we shared a lot of information on how to build your traffic as well as your audience using Pinterest. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me via my Instagram at Shruti Pangtey, or you can reach out to me on my YouTube as well, which is also with the same name. And of course, you can also check out my website called digitalempires.co, where you can send me a contact email, or you can even check out my products and services if you would like to work with me more one-on-one, or maybe even in a self-study format. I'm super thankful that you took the time to watch this class. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you hopefully soon outside of this class.